Hi guys, I am here to walk you through AutoCAD. We are lucky and we get AutoCAD 2018. Fun fact is AutoCAD does allow you to download it for free. It is a really big software, so if you have a computer that has space for it and you want to continue learning, you can download it. Just Google AutoCAD. It should take you to the site website. You do need to check that you are a student, and you get it for 3 years. It's a pretty good deal, but we're going to walk through AutoCAD here in class. So to open AutoCAD, you come down to your Start menu, and it's under this Autodesk. You come down here, and you open AutoCAD 2018 right there. Once you've done that, you should have a screen that pops up just like this. You're always going to want to choose Start Drawing unless you need to open files, which you can do that here. Open files means you're opening something that you've already been working on. So if you're behind and are trying to catch up, that's where you open the files. If not, you just start drawing. It should pop up with a drawing that looks like this. And you're like, well, this isn't super helpful. But let's just walk through a couple things. First off, I'm going to tell you that there's literally at least 3 different ways to do every single thing in AutoCAD. There's the mouse, that's really, really helpful. Then there's the keyboard, and then there's also, you can type different commands if you can't find them here. So if you've learned it a different way or this isn't working for you, you can kind of play around and see what you can figure out. But I will just show you how I've done it, and it works pretty well. So, to start with, this is called the ribbon up here, this space right up here, and that is where all of our commands are coming from. If you don't, everything that you're going to do is coming from one of these tabs. You pretty much always stay in Home tab for this class. In fact, for this class, I know you're staying in Home tab until we get to putting them on canvas, but everything you need is right here. If this ever goes away, definitely come over and get me. I can figure out how to bring it back. I don't remember off the top of my head, but you don't really want to mess around with your ribbon. It's really handy. The other thing that's really nice in AutoCAD is this command line. And so the command line tells you what's going on. So if you start a command, meaning you are telling the program to do something, it comes down here and it tells you line. If the command has a little triangle next to it, even like draw has a triangle next to it, it will draw, or it has more options below. So circle has more options. I can do a radius, telling me the radius of the circle or diameter. And if you notice, if you hover over everything, you're like, oh, what does polyline do? And if I just hover over it without clicking, it tells me it's creating a 2D polyline. And if you wait another second, it goes into a little bit more detail. So I find that really helpful. Going ahead of myself. But yes, you're staying in the Home ribbon here. And these are all the different functions you can do. We are mainly going to stay over here in this draw and modify. Looking down here, again, that's your command. It tells you what you can do. If you click on circle, you can also tell it to do a different circle. Arc, you can come down here and tell it to tell the center. Arc has a lot of different arcs down there. So that's kind of what's going on with your command. If you start a command and you don't mean to and you want to get out of it, you press escape. So the escape key on your keyboard in the upper left-hand corner is going to be a really good friend. And then down here we have more options. So one thing that I know that we're going to enjoy is having a grid present. And so that's just this button right here. You click the grid mode. It's helpful so that you can visualize kind of what you're doing. This whole thing right here is the model space, is what it's called. And the model space is empty virtual space that you can, that's what you're putting anything in that you want from your head. I can't read like Post-it. I wrote notes to remind me of everything I'm covering in the video, and I just can't read it from that far away. So yeah, the best thing about AutoCAD is that it's very, very accurate. So when we did our practice on the paper, you might have known like, oh, how can I do that? AutoCAD is that's the best thing about AutoCAD is it's very, very accurate, and I'll get into that when we get into our first assignment. But I want to go through some more navigation. So there's different views that you can do here. So you can change the view in AutoCAD by clicking one of these, and you can kind of play with it. We will only ever be in top view in this class. The other views are more for if we get into three-dimensional modeling. Whew, that was hard. But we don't do that in this class. And if you ever get so that your origin, because this is your origin point, saying this is your x-axis and y-axis, is not centered, or it's flipped around in a weird way, you just click these arrows and so that you can be back at true north. Other things that are important is the mouse. So if you are working and you need to zoom in, you use the center mouse tracker, and it'll zoom in and out. So that center circular part of the mouse will zoom out. If you want to drag, you hold down that center circle on your mouse and you move it around. And then if you want options, you can always right click, and that will do a lot. Instead of left clicking is doing one thing and right clicking is giving you like a help bar essentially. And that's it. Okay, so let's get into our first assignment. So I'm going to zoom in because I don't want to be that far out. And our first assignment is going to be a plate. It's going to look like this. I do give you the assignment here with the dimensions. So looking at the dimensions, we're always going to be in decimal, meaning that we're not in inches, and they do decimal, and AutoCAD does translate straight over to inches in America, so that's pretty handy. So they are in inches. The other thing, so this is a straight, let me zoom in 1 second. So here, the lines that you are drawing are the ones that are connected to themselves. If the line is not connected, like you can see that these lines aren't connected, that means it's giving you the dimension or how long the line should be. And so here, and you kind of have to figure out what is the dimension going to. So this 2 is going from this point to this point. And then 1.5 is going from here to here. This 1 dimension is telling you the height of the center of the circle is 1 away from this point. Or really this point. This length right here is 1 inch. The other thing is you are given circles. And it is kind of confusing, but it tells you that there are 2 circles, like 2 times of a circle, where the diameter, if a circle has a line all the way through it, that's diameter. If it's saying radius, it's going to tell you R, but the circle going all the way through it is diameter of 0.5. So that means this circle and this circle are 0.5 in diameter. And then you have another one up here, 2 times a diameter of 1. So this circle and this circle are at a diameter of 1. So let's look at that, working it out. So what you're going to do is you're going to come over here and you're going to click line. The difference between line and polyline is polyline makes lines that you can kind of manipulate because it creates grips. You don't need that in this assignment. You just want to stick with line. And it tells you to specify the first point. So you can literally click anywhere and specify that being the first point. Now, one thing you do want to make sure you have on for this assignment is polar tracking, and that's right down here, meaning that if you see that I'm in this line, it snaps to a specific set of angles along the way. Again, it's helping with that accuracy piece. So I clicked the little triangle next to polar tracking, and I made sure I was at 45, because that's what we're going to need for our line. So you want to make sure you're in this set of angles. So at 45, 90, 135, 180, all of that is going to snap to. I'm going to start by going up. I know on my plate, I go up 2. So you can either go down until you get to exactly 2, or you can type 2 and press enter. Now, look, I'm so small, so I'm going to zoom in. And you can move while you're in a command, that's totally fine. And then the next one I know is at a 45-degree angle, and it is 1.5. So I type 1.5, and then I'm at a 45-degree angle. I press enter. Coming over, I go over 5, so I press 5, and I make sure at the 0 angle, and I click enter. Then I come down to enter. Then I come over 1.5 at that 45, which is really 135 from the origin down. And then you can type 5, because that's what I'm going to, or you should have it snap to that end point, meaning that green square comes up, and then you press enter again. Oops. No, you press click. You click it, and I'm still in the command of line, so if I want to keep drawing lines, I would keep going. If you want to end the command, you press enter. Alright, so now let's draw some circles. For circles, you have a couple options. You can put guidelines in, and I'll start with the small circles. So I know my small circles are at the intersections where these corners come in. So I could do that, and I come up here to circle. I make sure that center diameter is selected, because that's the dimension that you're given. I select the circle command. I come to that intersection of those 2 points. I type 0.5, and then I press enter. Or what you can do, and this only works if you come down here to, let's move this down so you can see what I'm talking about. There. So that you come down here to your object snapping menu, and you have to make sure you have extension checked on. And what you do is you go to circle, and you go up from where you're talking about, and then you come over from where you're talking about, and then it automatically creates guidelines for you, and then you type 0.5 and you create it. And that's a great way to do the small circles. For the big circles, the dimensions are a little bit harder, so I recommend you just draw extra lines, since it's it's not 2 over. It's 2.5 over, so I created my line, 2.5, enter, I go up 90 degrees, and then I go line down here, it's 1 up, and I come over, and then I do that again up here, create my line, 2.5, then I come down, and then I come over here, I go 1, and then I come over. Now I can just put my circles in at the intersections. I know my circles are just 1. If I want to repeat the same command again, you can press enter, and it just starts the same command again, and you go at 1. Ooh, that's funny. I must have typed 10 or something. Then to delete something, you just select the line and delete. Press the delete option, not the backspace. You have to use the delete key. And then you have your first assignment done. Now to submit your assignment onto Canvas, you're going to come over to the Output tab here and click Plot. Under Plot, you go to General Documentation for PDF, and you click Window. So you tell the computer what to create a PDF of, then you press OK. You want to make sure you know where you're saving it. I save it in my documents as C10, Plate 1. I save it. That's okay. I just did this. Then it's going to come up with the same option. This is saving it as a PDF. If you need to save it as a drawing file, you need to make sure you come over here and click this button to save it as a drawing file if you don't finish it. And it's important to know the